Hey guys, Von Schnitzel here. Are you ready for a stellar dueling setup? Then let me introduce you to the Urumi Nagakiba combo. This pair of weapons has brutal vortex potential, a true combo, and gives you plenty of control over spacing using the range of the whip combined with the speed of the katana. I'm not kidding when I say this setup feels almost broken. It has so much mix-up potential that I found myself confounding even the best opponents with a flurry of alternating attacks. It might just be the best non-power stance dual setup that I've tried. Speaking of dual-wielding, if you haven't seen my video on meta dual setups, be sure to check that out as well. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Von Schnitzel. I create and showcase flavorful and optimized PvP builds in Elden Ring. So be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're informed on the best PvP builds before the DLC releases. So, this is a standard meta level 125 Dexterity dueling build. 60 vigor, 60 dexterity, you know the drill. As for the talismans, you have some wiggle room to experiment, but I'll mostly be using my standard setup and swap to the Feathered Branch swords once I get low on HP. That said, enough chat. Let's jump right into some duels and see how strong this setup really is. So in our first duel here, we're facing an opponent that also pulled out a whip. So he goes for an attack first, I go in, kind of wave dash a little bit, try to get a crouch attack on him. He avoids it smartly, so I throw a dagger and go in for a running attack, land the first hit, and I space back, do a reverse jump into the katana, into the charged R2, into a crouch R1 to roll catch as he rolls away. Just look at that vortex. It's crazy. In this match, we have an opponent who runs in with the Nagakiba, so I go for a whip, into the katana, into the whip, into the charged R2, and he dies just like that. Just that flurry of attacks is just brutal. And then in this next battle, we have an opponent using the Dragon Bolt Blessing, so he's going to take more damage from my Lightning Nagakiba. I go in for an attack with, dodge both parts of his Spinning Slash. I go for a roll catch there with that crouch, but his light roll saves him. I hit him with the whip, then a double katana hit. I go for a second follow-up hit with the whip, which you can see connects very nicely if they panic roll the katana hits. GG to my opponent here. In this match, we're facing someone with a greatsword, so there's hyper armor to contend with. He approaches very well, pretty good spacing, goes in for a jump attack. I get a sneak hit with the katana here, and as he runs in, I thought I spaced that, but I eat the running R2. And with a little bit of the whip, catch him with the second part of this R2 into katana to knock him out of his jump, into a whip, into katana, into a crouch attack to roll catch him, and he's hurting. I hit him with another crouch attack, and then finish him off with the unexpected beast roar. It just confounds him, just the flurry. Here we have a mage, so this is going to showcase how good this build is against mages. I hit him with a beast roar that you can use to punish every spell cast, running attack with the whip, into katana, into that third whip hit that punishes a panic roll. And then I roll there expecting a slice or eat a hit, but it's okay, because a quick katana hit finishes him off. Another match here against a Claymore and a shield, or I think it's the Knight's Greatsword and a shield, actually. He switches off to a dagger. I think he's deciding how to approach, and while he's swapping weapons, I land a Beast Roar, going for that jumping R2 into a follow-up R1, into the katana vortex. He rolls them all. He knows not to get caught by it. Hit him with a Beast Roar. You can kind of just throw that Beast Roar out whenever they back off away from you, because if they try to menu swap or cast a spell, they just get hit. I strafe that Giant Hunt to the side there, get around to his side, and get the fully charged R2 with the whip. Dodge his flurry of attacks and just throw a throwing dagger in his face to finish the fight. Now we have an opponent using Mohg's Sacred Spear. So, really good spear, longest range great spear in the game, and he has an offhand rapier, so pretty brutal combo. He gets me with that great spear hit there. I get him with a jump attack to follow up with a katana hit and a charged R2, and we trade hits there, and we both go for the Beast Roar. But I had more health, buddy, so I came out on top. Next fight here, we have a guy using Vike's War Spear. So he wants to inflict us with some madness. He pulls out this magma whip. I just give him a quick little whip of my own to knock him out of that weapon art. I go for the jumping R2. I tried to free aim it a little bit too late. He really likes setting up that magma with that thing, so he goes for the pest strings, whatever that's called, followed by a couple hits with a Vike's War Spear. Manages to hit me with it. I connect a jumping attack, go for a running attack that whiffs, and then I get in close enough to start the vortex, but it does not connect on this opponent. He runs away, hits me with the Vike's weapon art, gives me the in to land that jumping attack in exchange for taking a few hits of madness damage. Then I just go for the Beast Roar when I see him weapon swapping or whatever he's doing over there. GG. Another fight here against a mage. You can see how that Beast Roar comes in immediately when they try to get free casts up. And again, he goes for the Zamor Ice Storm, thinking I'm going to go in. I just Beast Roar. And now he's seeing that he's not going to be able to get a cast off. So I get close with the whip, into the katana, into the whip, and he's running. I Beast Roar just for safe measure in case he casts, and as he runs in, I hit him with a whip that cannot be parried. So that carrying retail was going to do nothing. I have a rematch here against the opponent from before that had the Knight's Greatsword out. Go for a crouch R1 to start the match. That does not connect. I'm kind of keeping a safe distance, throwing out attacks that he won't be able to punish because he's too far away, but if he happens to run in, he'll get hit. He goes for a Thunderbolt there that I just easily counter with the Beast Roar. Beast Roar has a super fast startup animation, so it's nice that he gives me that first bit of damage. He makes a nice swap to the heavy thrusting sword, goes for the running attack on me, but I'm not falling for it. I go for a roll catch with the katana, into the whip, into the katana, charge that R2, but he's far enough away to escape it. Hit him with that Beast Roar as he comes in for the running attack, so he's hurting. I take a hit there, and roll to the side to dodge the Giant Hunt before I crouch, go for the roll catch that whiffs. We both try to attack at the same time there, and he starts spamming with his dagger, so I just start spamming, doing some spamming of my own. Mash with that katana, throw out a Beast Roar, throw some daggers to pressure him in, and then hit him with a final Beast Roar as he runs in with a whip of his own. A little too much swapping for my opponent, I think. Here we have this guy using the Black Flame Blade on the Nagakiba. He gets his buff up right away, runs in for an attack on me. He lands the jump attack, goes for the spinning slash, and connects it on me, so I'm hurting right away. But I managed to land a katana hit, and the second follow-up hit of the charged R2. He dodges my Beast Roar, so now he gives me some space to cleanse this bleed. Not the best move for my opponent. He should have pressured and got that bleed off. Now he's getting me space to just hit him with this whip. Once you have an in on this build, you have to stay in. So take note of the mistake my opponent made there. If you face an Urumi, get in and stay in. I have a match here against another high-ranked opponent. Using the Veteran's Armor, he has health and steeple. Looks to be some type of mage build. Punish that buff with the Beast Roar, but he manages to roll in time. It's a pretty quick buff. And now he's trying to space. I'm not sure what he's trying to go for. Probably trying to bait me into that slicer combo. But it gives me the opportunity to land a whip hit. I go for another Beast Roar in case he tries to get spell casts at range. Mess up there a little bit. He gets the glintstone blades up. Followed by a spiral that I just roll through. Very important to roll through the spiral to dodge it. Get in close, get a katana hit before spacing back to avoid that Gavel of Haima. R2 does not connect, and I manage to punish his drink with a Beast Roar. He keeps running, turns around for a turn and burn there. Does not quite connect, neither does my whip hit. Throw out another Beast Roar and some daggers to try to pressure him into me. He's just been trying to space back to get his mana back, and now as he gets in close, he's kind of giving me an in to hit him with that whip. And the great thing about whips and Beast Roar is I don't really need to approach them. I have pressure from range, so I kind of put the responsibility on them to aggress. It's very nice. And you see, he just stops here, starts emoting as I Beast Roar him to his grave. GG. This one starts a little funny. I activate my Boiled Crab, as if it's going to do anything against the Dark Moon Greatsword, but whatever. I land the first hit there, and I could tell my opponent is a little bit latent already, but I do land that charged R2 with a katana hit, and you can see that the damage is going out like a half second late, so it's always scary when that happens, but it was a nice clean fight anyway. Now we have a rematch against our guy using the Black Flame Nagakiba. Kind of a deja vu start to that match. He runs to the right, gets his buff up, then immediately runs in on me. Except this time I don't eat the first hit, and he doesn't land the spinning slash. I'm spacing a little bit, getting close with that charged R2, trip him up, into the katana, into the whip, but the second whip hit does not connect. Go for a Beast Roar there, expecting a quick roll panic. He does not quite panic, but I managed to land the jump attack, go for a crouch attack a little early. He has some good roll discipline, but ends up taking just enough hits for me to finish him off with those daggers. GG, my dude. Got another match here against a mage fella. He's got a big mage hat and a greatsword, so pretty cool setup. I get that jumping R2 to start, followed by the R2 that he rolls into, eats the second hit, goes for a parry, but barely doesn't connect it on my katana. That could have been scary. Now I just go for whip hits, and he keeps going for a parry, but I don't think he knows that whips cannot be parried. I go for the Beast Roar there as he turns around to start being a wizard, and finishes him off. Jumping into this next one, we have a Blood Flame Blade Nagakiba, so he clearly wants to go for the spinning slash combo. I hit him with a little whip hit there. I want to keep my space. Getting in close is dangerous against this type of combo, because that Blood Flame Blade will stack up bleed quick. He rolls into the R2, eats a hit, allowing me to follow it up with the katana, and then I just space back. I don't want to trade into a potential spinning slash hyper armor, so every time I land a 1-2 combo, I'm just backing off here. Every time. And it's just clean as that. He just forces himself into me trying to land the spinning slash and dies. And here we have a big, strong bull goat man with a mushroom head. He has those venomous fists on. He really wants to just activate this barbaric roar, abuse his hyper armor to run right in, land a bunch of consecutive fist hits, and poison me. So I'm aware of that. I'm just going to land my 1-2 combo and back off. And then I space back when I see when he whiffs an attack. That's my opening to go for a hit. I land that little crouch attack with the whip, go for a second one, and I never try to trade into this intentionally. I always back off. You see there, I make a little bit of a mistake. I go for a third katana hit, eat that flurry of attacks from him, almost got poisoned. That would not have been good. If he managed to get that poison off, he would have got that 20% attack buff. You see, he gets it here, but I think it's a little bit too late in the match. I'm able to just go for a few katana swings and finish him off here with a few daggers, followed by a whip attack. GG. So this one I really wanted to include in here. I think this is my first loss using this setup. I have an opponent that runs in and hits me with a double spear vortex as I'm emoting, so half my health is gone. We're going to see if I can clean this up. I try to get him in the vortex, doesn't quite work. I switch to the two-handed katana and go for an unsheath roll catch there, but he just spams me, finishes me off. So let's see what happens next. I Q back into him immediately. Except this time I know his game, so I'm going to run in on him. I'm not going to let him get the cheap pot shots on me while I'm trying to be polite. So I jump in, he avoids my first hit, but I manage to land a couple katana hits, followed by a jumping R2 with this. I eat a great spear hit, roll the crouching R1, go for the R2 that he avoids. I go for the B-shore there that he jumps over, so pretty good on his part. But I have the health advantage here, so I'm able to just keep swinging. He doesn't win that in the long run. And then I finish him off with a little whip attack. I get him the point down for being rude. Pretty cool build here. We have a guy using Rot Grease and the Scorpion Stinger, so he's trying to get Rot procs on me. He goes for a few dagger hits to get that Rot building up. Hits me with a little halberd hit, and he has B-shore too, so that's a surprise. I try to open my inventory there to cure the Rot, and he punches me immediately. Punches me again with that B-shore. I go for a silly B-shore there, playing pretty shoddily right now. Give an opportunity finally to get my talisman swap going. Hit him with a katana hit. Now he's low enough to die in one hit, and he pivots, unfortunately, with his movement. So I hit him with that beast roar. GG. Here we have a rematch against one of these mages. Doesn't allow me to punish him with the beast roar. Strafes it left and right. Very smart. I go in for an attack, get hit by that piercer, tons of damage, and then followed by an array of melee sorceries. The Gavel of Haima, Jewel's Moonblade. I dodge them both, hit him with the second half of the R2 into Beast Roar, and now he must be low on mana after casting all those big spells, so I want to keep the pressure up. I expect him to go over here and drink, so I'm trying to stay in the right distance to land a jumping attack if he does. I end up just finishing him off with that running attack. GG, Mr. Mage. Have another rematch here against this guy in all black, using the heavy thrusting sword to start this time. I go for the jumping attack, whiff, he punishes me immediately. I attack out of hit stun, eat a giant hunt into a running attack. So I'm already pretty low here, it's not looking good for me. I managed to land the second part of that charged R2 and the B-shore to roll catch him, so I've caught up in the health pretty good here. So we're both at the point where we're going to die in the next hit. I switch to my talismans just in case they save me. I see that I'm not quite at the threshold for them to proc, but that's okay. Just trying to find a safe in here. I don't want to fall for that running attack again. I go for one katana hit into the whip, land one, and we go for a trade there. And I think that feathered branch sword may have saved me a little bit. Next we have an opponent using the pumpkin head. What a funny head to use, huh? He's using two katanas that, as it turns out, is a Moonveil and Rivers of Blood. So that's a little weird. Those don't really go together on the same build, but I guess he just wants to use the two weapon arts. I managed to land the first jumping R1 there, go for a running attack that whiffs, into katana, into whip, and I connect a little bit of a vortex there, including the second half of the R2 into a beast roar. I trade a Moonveil hit for it, but that's okay, because now he's one or two hits from death. I go for a crouch attack. I'm just trying to keep my spacing. You can see he gets stuck in the unsheath animation there as I hit him, so GG. Our opponent runs in really quick here with the Shamshir, trying to land a cheap pot shot probably. He goes for the Swords Dance, which hyper armors through me, and then roll catches me again with a second Swords Dance, and then unexpectedly goes for a third Swords Dance and a fourth. So I'm just kind of perplexed that I just took so much damage from 4 Swords Dances in a row, but I guess when he sees a build like what I have and knows I have no hyper armor, he could just come in and spam that move with impunity. But now I'm a little bit more wary. I managed to hit him with the second hit of the R2 into a katana hit. I've closed the health gap by now. And now my opponent starts running. He takes out a great bow, which I think is pretty BM, honestly. Pretty cheap way to end a fight. I hide behind the pillar. He does not connect that hit, and I go in for a jump attack that hits him as he whiffs the arrow. And I finish him off with a crouch attack. I give him a point down, because that great bow as a finisher is pretty cheap. And next up, we have our friend with the Vikes War Spear once again. Starts the match by giving a friendly little hop, so do I. Going for a jump attack, he's keeping his distance. He does not want to get hit by this whip. He's not really starting the match by overusing that Lava Ash of War. I jump right over his running R2 there, and we manage to trade blows. He goes for the Big Madness Blast, so I get in close, start my Vortex, and you can see he doesn't really avoid that appropriately, so he eats just a ton of damage, and I just simply go R1, L1, R1, L1, and that's it. So now we have another rematch. This time it's against the guy using Mogwin's Sacred Spear and the Reduvia. I land a first little whip hit there, and he goes for the Reduvia weapon art. I try to get a beast roar up, but that range of that great spear is something, isn't it? He manages to just thrust me, and he's kind of vortexing me, as it turns out. He gets in too close and starts swiping me with that dagger, and I just go on a wild katana swinging frenzy, and I give him the point down, because I guess I was feeling a little salty after that. Here we have an opponent using a single Great Lance. So one Great Spear is pretty underrated setup. It's very solid. It has very good jump attacks. It has a degree of hyper armor when you're facing light weapons. That one's pretty good with spacing. He gets some good reverse jumps in, goes for that jumping R1. He does a wave dash as he approaches. It's a good way to feint movement and trick your opponent into not knowing what move's coming out, whether it's a crouch R1, a normal R1, or what it could be. He goes for a frost pot there, which I just dodge. I want to keep my range. I don't want to get caught in any type of Great Spear vortex situation. So, even though the strength of this setup is in its vortexing, when I'm facing another setup that can vortex, you kind of got to be aware of what has hyper armor and what doesn't, or what has poise and what doesn't, and he can certainly poise through my katana and whip hits. I managed to land a jumping whip hit there, and you can see an example of this right away, where I go for the vortex and he's just able to poise through it and just start his own vortex going. So what I should have done there is get the jumping hit with the whip into the katana L1 and just backed off immediately. At this point I opened my talismans to swap and realized that the whole time I've been using the wrong talismans to begin with, and I eat 2 back-to-back jumping attacks. Good job for my opponent for finishing me off there. I have another opponent here that's using Mohg's Sacred Spear, and he starts by just casting the weapon art, I guess to get his buff up, but he eats a Beast Roar to do it, so that's fine by me. I get him out of his jump attack with the whip, kind of outspace that running R2, getting close to try to go for a roll catch. He rolls all my vortexes and trades with me, so that's good on him. He kind of gains advantage from that. Gets a couple good hits, and this bleed is proccing on me, so something I'm wary of, but he's low, so I go for the kill, and manage to land the charged R2. GG. Next opponent here just starts double buffing while I'm emoting, so I'm not letting him get a second buff for free. So I Beast Roar him as he goes for that Flame Grant Me Strength. I think that's fair. Tries to go in for running R2, I hit him with my whip, sent him reeling backwards. He's kind of looking for an opportunity to get in. He probably wants to land that Spitting Slash with a Blood Flame Blade. I don't really want to give that to him. I go for the charged R2, hit him with the second hit, and then I find that he has Swords Dance, so he gets big damage on me right away, and as he approaches me too aggressively, I hit him with a katana hit to end the fight. I have a really cool match, facing a Colossal Greatsword. I honestly really like fighting the Greatsword. I think it's something that's balanced well with hyper armor, but then I find that he just Spitting Slashes me, so I learn right away that this guy's a cheater. That's an illegal weapon art to have on a Greatsword, in case you don't know. It's something that I could not have expected, pretty unbalanced. So now I don't really know what's going to come out of this guy. I see that he just swapped weapons to a different greatsword, so I don't know what's coming. Luckily I knock him out of the air, I go for a charged R2 that whiffs, and then I see he goes for an unsheath. So this guy's just whipping out all sorts of just hacked weapon arts on this greatsword. He goes for the unsheath there, gets stuck as I finish him off with a katana and give him a point down for cheating. Oh, we have yet another match here against our Spellblade guy using Health and Steeple. He goes for the buff, I hit him with the Beast Roar to punish that, followed by a quick whip attack, and I go for the jump. Doesn't quite connect. He's opting to go far away from me, so I'm just going to hit him with a Beast Roar if he wants to try to cast. He's going to learn really quick that that's not going to work. I do trade hits there with the Jewel's Moonblade, but that's okay. And here I go in for the whip attack to finish. It's mostly just a Beast Roar match. Next, we have another fight against the guy using the Dragon Bolt Blessing and the Uchigatana. Very cool build he has going on. I like the aesthetic of it a lot. He's like a true lightning samurai. I go for the whip attack, he rolls into me, so it does not connect, but I manage to land a series of whip attacks, and then go for a roll catch here with the whip, and I kind of just end up whipping him to death as he rolls, panicking, not knowing what timing is coming out of his whip. It's very tricky. We have a third rematch here against our friend with the Black Flame Blade Nagakiba. He starts the fight the same way, he gets his buff up, runs in for an attack, he falls prey to whip attack, followed by another whip attack into katana, into whip, and then I go for the charged R2 expecting a roll. He goes for a trade at 1 health, and falls to the whip. Here we're facing the combo Master of Greatswords, the Knight's Greatsword. So let's see if this guy can land a combo on me. He goes for a jump, I go in for a jump, hit him out of midair with the whip, get my quick whip into katana combo on him, go for a crouch attack to space him away from me, and then go for the charged R2. People tend to roll in and just get hit by it. He ends up getting vortex roll caught, absolutely bamboozled. Here we have a nice fight against the guy that stole my hat, and then he pulls out a Black Knight Glaive, which is my favorite halberd, so now we got problems. He starts throwing the Gravity Stone Fan, which is my favorite consumable, so I kind of got a problem with this guy. He's got to be put down. I go for the charge R2, land it into a katana hit, he's really low. I go for that crouch attack with the whip, it does not connect, and then he stabs me as I go for the Beast Roar. Now he's spacing away, he's switching weapons now to a heavy thrusting sword, back what he started the match with. Goes for that Thunderbolt, I simply roll it, go for a Beast Roar, and then he goes for the repeating thrust, the nerve, as I hit him with my katana to finish the fight. GG, man. Here we have a third rematch against our buddy with the Dragon Bolt Blessing and the katana. He rolls inwards, dodging the whip, goes for an attack that I dodge, strafe around that running R2, and kind of respace here. Prepared to go for an attack with the katana. I give him a two-handed katana versus two-hand katana match this time. Dodge that Thunderbolt really quick, hit him with an R1. I go for an unsheath roll catch, but he just swings out of hit stun. And I'm able to just slice and dice him because of that reduced lightning resistance. Here we have an absolute atrocity of a duel, but I wanted to keep it in here anyway, because it's something different. You can see that this guy's really laggy immediately. He's like floating around the screen. On top of the fact that he's wave dashing on low latency, I can't really tell what he's doing. His movement is super obscured. And he's using the Serpent Hunter that has the most insane hyper armor in the game at the same time. So this is an irritating match already. I don't even know what I should be doing here, so I just start swinging. Yeah, I can't even tell what's happening. He's going for consecutive crouch pokes. I land the unsheath, going for a follow-up attack, but he just goes for more crouch pokes. He's just teleporting up and down, left and right, everywhere around the screen. So I just run, I pray, and I switch my talismans. You can see I get messed up in my menu a little bit because I'm just freaked out by the events that are happening. I swap to my Royal Remains gear to get the regen going, get up the crab buff since he's staying away, and now I think I'm in a pretty good position because I got the regen going, I got the defense buff, and he goes for a Poison Mist. I think he's just trying to get the status up at this point to finish me off. I roll that inwards. It's very easy to just roll diagonally into the HTS. It usually does not connect. And then as he runs in on me, I assume he's going to be hyper-aggressive, swing around, hit a Beast Roar to end the fight, and I point him down, because what's he doing with the Serpent Hunter on low latency? Next opponent here is a pretty cool guy. He's using a bunch of lightning spells, which I like the aesthetic of, along with a pair of swords. He goes for that first spell, and we have a little trade goes off. I roll under that Prayer Strike, or Sacred Blade, whatever it's called, and then start vortexing him a little bit. He ends up hitting me with just some straight sword spam. Does much more damage than I expected. Pretty foolish of me to just stand and take that. He goes for the Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike there. That wasn't going to connect on me, man. End up hitting him with a Beast Roar. And now he's one hit from death, so I roll that again, go for the whip attack, and he swings there. That was aggressive, man. GG. Coming up, we have a fourth rematch against our cool Dragon Ball Blessing guy. I land the first hit with the whip. Space back to see what he's going to do. He goes for the Lightning Bolt. It does not connect, obviously. I go for a backstep whip attack there, followed by the katana that he dodges. I charge up the R2, land both hits, then hit him with the katana to end him very quickly. GG again, my dude. Here we have a fight against a guy that I think we fought before. He has the Urumi out. He does land the first hit on me, so pretty good on him. I land a crouch attack there. I go for the charge R2. He dodges both expertly and goes for his own charge R2. Neither of us get to connect it, so I go for a jump attack. He goes for the charge R2 again. No one's really connecting any hits right now. He goes for the Thunderbolt, and I managed to land a little bit of chip damage with that throwing dagger, followed by the Beast Roar. I run in there a little aggressively, eat a whip hit, and then retaliate with a whip hit of my own. Here he gets a little too close and doesn't get that R2 off, so I managed to land a few consecutive hits, followed by a Beast Roar roll catch for the win. GG. For the penultimate match of this showcase, we are once again fighting Mr. Pumpkinhead. Right after emoting, I go for a quick Beast Roar. He doesn't really react and eats the hit right away. Maybe he has a little BM, so sorry about that. But I do land the first whip hit, followed by a second Beast Roar. I'm wary of this Moon Veil, just pretty much waiting for it and then retaliating with punishing. I go for the Vortex here. Katana whip, you know how it is, that's how it goes. For our final match of this showcase, we are fighting a Pyromancer. So we fought an array of mages in this showcase, shown how powerful this build is against them. How does it perform against a Pyromancer? Well, if you run right into the spinning slash, it doesn't perform too well to start with, but I decide to stop doing that and keep my distance. He goes for a catch flame there, as I'm getting in just periodic whip hits. Punish that fireball with a Beast Roar, of course. And then here he goes for a second fireball, not learning his lesson. Gets hit by another Beast Roar. Beast Roar is pretty excellent. Goes well with the whip. Try this build, guys. Until next time, my friends.